In this video, we will be simplifying complex fractions, which means we're going to see fractions inside of fractions. Let's look at this first one. You can see that on top I have a fraction and on bottom I have a fraction. What this is saying is they want us to take this fraction, divide it by this fraction. So instead of writing it this fancy way, we could rewrite it as an old school division problem. This is the same as saying the top fraction divided by the bottom fraction. And we've seen problems like this before. This is one of those keep, change, flip. We're going to change it to a multiplication problem. So I'm going to start by keeping the first fraction, changing it to multiplication, and then flipping the second one, or doing its reciprocal. Once we're here, we're ready to multiply. But remember, multiplying first is going to make a mess. We are better off reducing if we can. So let's reduce first and then multiply. In order to reduce, we're looking to cancel common factors. And in order to do that, we have to have it in factored form. Well, this first fraction I can't do anything with, but this second one has some things we could do. The top, x squared minus 4, is a difference of squares. It's x minus 2 and x plus 2. The bottom, I think all I can do is a GCF. Let's see, how about a 4 and an x? That's going to leave me with x plus 2. All right, now's the fun part. We get to cancel things. I'm looking for things that I can cancel. Remember, one's got to be on top and one's got to be on bottom. So I could cancel this x minus 2 with this x minus 2. I also see several x plus 2s. I've got one here, I've got one here, and I've got one here. I can only cancel in pairs, and one on top, one on bottom. So we could cancel this one and this one, or you could do this one with this one. Doesn't matter, it's going to end up being the same thing. I'll just cancel these guys. Once we've done that, I think that's everything we can cancel. Let's put it together and see what we've got. Up top, all I have left is x plus 2. And on the bottom, I just have a 4x. Now remember, this x will not cancel with this x. This x is eligible because this is all multiply, but this is an x plus 2. He would only cancel with another x plus 2. So I think I've done all I can do. Let's take a look at example 2. Example 2 is a lot more difficult than the first one we did. So hold on, here we go. I'm going to first rewrite it like we did that last one. We have x plus 5 over x minus 6 divided by 1 minus 1 over x. But in keeping with math, we've got to follow order of operations. This whole thing is being divided by this whole thing. And so that's what makes this a little bit trickier. Because we've got two things on top being added and two things on bottom being subtracted, we're going to have to put this top together into one fraction and the bottom together into one fraction before we can do anything else. So I think for now, I'm going to get rid of this. We'll come back to this here in a minute, but let's just look at the top first. So if I were just looking at the top, it is x plus 5 over x minus 6. And in order to put those together, they need to have a common denominator. Now this x has technically got a 1 on the bottom. And so to make the denominators match, he needs an x minus 6 on the bottom. So we're going to throw in a factor of x minus 6. But what you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. Now let's rewrite these fractions. On top, when I distribute that x through, I'll have x squared minus 6x. 1 times x minus 6, which is just x minus 6. and this one didn't change. Now we can put them together. I'll have x squared minus 6x plus 5 all over x minus 6. So that's the top. Let's now take a minute and work on the bottom. It is 1 minus 1 over x. Now, technically, if it makes you feel better, we could rewrite this 1 as 1 over 1. Same thing. And we've got to get a common denominator. So this one's not too bad. He just needs an x. So x over x, which is 1, which is why that works, minus that. So we're going to have x minus 1 over x for the bottom. Now remember, we're doing the top divided by the bottom. All right, let's take a look at where we're at then. I'm going to do keep, change, flip, and make it multiply. So this is now, this guy stays the same. We're going to change it to multiply, and we're going to flip this one. Okay, next, in order to multiply, we're going to try and reduce first, and in order to reduce, we've got to have them in factored form. So let's factor this top. Because it's a lead coefficient of 1, I think I'm okay to just go for it here. Plus in the back tells me same sign, so I know it's going to be two negatives because of that minus 6. It's got to be 5 and 1, right? 5 times 1 would give me the 5, and negative 5 and negative 1 would give me the negative 6. So I think we're in business there. And now I'm looking for things I can cancel, and I think all I see is this x minus 1. Remember, we cannot cancel this x with this x. He's part of a factor. All right, let's put it together and see what we got. Up top, I have a GCF x and a factor of x minus 5. On the bottom, I just have an x minus 6. I think I am done. Again, we cannot cancel this x with this one. He would be eligible to cancel because he's a GCF, but he's part of a bigger factor of x minus 6. So yep, I think we're done. Let's try one last one. We've got some negative exponents in this one, and before we can do anything, we got to deal with the negative exponents. Remember, we make negative exponents positive by putting them in the denominator. And we need to do this one piece at a time. So I'm just looking first at this little piece, and when I fix that, it would be x over y to the first, or just y. And then I've got the 1/3. Now I'm going to look at this piece. Remember, the 6 is fine. It's the y that's got the negative exponent. So 6 can stay, but y's got to go. And then this one right here, we're going to fix it by putting the x in the bottom, but the 2 can stay. So that's the real issue, the real problem that we've got is we got to fix those negative exponents, and then we can do what we've been doing. So I'm going to again start with the top. The top is x over y minus 1/3. So I've got to get a common denominator. So this guy needs a 3, and this guy needs a y. And then we can put them together. So I'm going to have 3x over 3y, and this is just y over 3y. And putting those together would give me 3x minus y. Those aren't like terms, so we've got to leave them like that, over 3y. All right, let's move on to the bottom. On the bottom, we have 6 over y and 2 over x that are being subtracted. To get a common denominator, he's going to need an x, and this guy's going to need y's. So we're going to have 6x over xy and 2y over xy. Again, like terms we do not have, so 6x minus 2y is all I can do there. And that is the bottom. We're not done. We just simplified the top, we simplified the bottom, and now we're going to do the top divided by the bottom. So this is where we're going to do the keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep this one, change it to multiply, and flip this one. When we go to multiply, if we can, we're going to try and reduce first. I don't see a lot. Oh wait, I see one thing. Do you see it? I see a GCF. Nothing I can do here. But the bottom here on the second one has a GCF of 2. That would leave me with 3x minus y. Good thing we did that. There is something we can cancel. This 3x minus y and this 3x minus y. Let's see what we got now. Up top, all I have is xy. Oh, wait, I see one more thing. We're going to keep going, though. We're going to keep going. I'll show you why. And then we're going to put the top together, 6y. Do you see it now? We missed something. I've said this before. You can either go back and fix it, or you can just reduce right here. We had one more thing we could have done. Now, we could have come back. We could have erased all of this and come over here and said this y will cancel with this y, and you would have gotten to the same answer. I missed it. No big deal. Once you're here, we just cancel and reduce this. We get to the same spot.